6 days before Thanksgiving, I discovered my beloved daughter was planning to humiliate me in front of our entire family, declare me mentally unstable, and force me out of the restaurant I'd built with my own hands. When blood betrays you, the wound cuts deeper than bone. I quietly altered my strategy, transforming her trap into my own. The revelation came like a thunderclap on an otherwise ordinary November afternoon. I stood frozen at the bottom of the stairs, my hand gripping the cherry wood railing I'd installed myself a decade earlier. Above me, in my private office, my daughter Megan's voice drifted down with crystal clarity. Dr. Murray signed everything. The assessment confirms declining mental capacity. By Thanksgiving, we'll have the competency hearing scheduled. Her husband Tyler's deeper voice rumbled in response. And the business transfer documents. Once he's declared incompetent, you'll have full ownership. $850,000 for the property alone. We can finally pay off my debts and start fresh. The cold wash of realization moved through my chest as Megan continued, casual as discussing a menu change. The old man doesn't suspect a thing. He still thinks I'm his devoted daughter. 1 more week, and this restaurant is ours. For 36 years, I'd trusted that voice. I'd built my life around protecting her, providing for her, loving her without condition. Now, she was plotting to strip me of everything. My restaurant, my independence, my dignity, all while smiling to my face. A chef's mind processes information precisely. Timing, temperature, taste. These fundamentals guide everything. My brain applied those same principles now as I backed away silently, each step measured, retreating through the dry storage area and out the service entrance. In my car, I sat staring at the steering wheel until my breathing normalized. 20 minutes passed, maybe more. The November chill seeped through the windows, matching the ice forming around my heart. When I finally went inside, they were in the kitchen. Megan looked up, smiling. That smile I'd trusted for 36 years. "Dad, you're early. How was lunch service?" I manufactured a smile in return. "Fine, just the usual rush. How's the inventory coming, sweetheart?" She turned back to her clipboard, checking supplies. "Almost done. Hey, you're still planning to make your famous turkey for Thanksgiving here, right?" "I've invited some friends from culinary school." I nodded, said nothing, sat down at the prep table. Tyler glanced at me, something flickering behind his eyes. Suspicion, guilt. I watched them both, forcing myself to appear normal while my mind raced ahead. When she called on Thanksgiving Day saying, "Dad, where are you? Everyone's waiting," I simply laughed. "Check my office desk," I told her. What she discovered made her collapse, and her carefully constructed world shattered completely. Revenge tastes sweetest when served with precise timing. Before I tell you how I turned my daughter's trap against her, take a moment to consider. What would you do if someone you trusted completely betrayed you? Would you confront them immediately? Or would you plan your response? Let me know in the comments what action you would take if faced with such a devastating betrayal. Now, let me walk you through exactly how I discovered the truth about my daughter's plans and the calculated steps I took to protect myself while delivering the justice she never saw coming. That night, I waited. Their apartment door above the restaurant closed at 11:30. I listened to the old building settle, the familiar creaks and whispers of a structure I knew intimately. At midnight, I dressed in dark clothes, old habit from my time in the Coast Guard, and moved through the kitchen to the office trash. 2 bins. I went through each one methodically. Receipt paper, inventory sheets, supplier catalogs. Then, in the recycling, folded between beverage invoices, papers, legal papers. I smoothed them out under the light of my phone, hands shaking despite my efforts at control. Petition for emergency guardianship in the matter of Dustin James Barker, an alleged incapacitated person. I sat on the cold office floor holding this thing, reading my daughter's handwriting in the margins. One phrase circled in red ink. Subject demonstrates significant mental decline and poses danger to business operations. Lies. Clinical, calculated lies. The document trembled in my hands, not from age or weakness, but from a rage so pure it made my vision blur at the edges. This wasn't a misunderstanding or a hasty decision. The paperwork was extensive, detailed, prepared over months. My own daughter had been documenting fabricated incidents of my supposed decline for nearly a year. I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough for my legs to go numb. Long enough for the rage to crystallize into something colder, sharper, useful. At 2:00 in the morning, I stood, folded the document carefully, placed it in my jacket pocket. Tomorrow, I'd need answers. Tomorrow, I'd need a plan. I walked toward the stairs, stopped at the bottom, looked back at my restaurant. 6 days until Thanksgiving. 6 days until they planned to destroy me. The restaurant stood silent around me, shadows filling the corners I knew by heart. 15 years in this building. 25 years as a chef before that. A lifetime of early mornings and late nights, of burns and cuts and aching feet. All of it leading to this moment, standing alone in the dark, betrayed by my own blood. My jaw tightened. I walked up to my apartment, the small one behind the office, away from theirs. Dawn light crept through the blinds, turning everything blue-gray. I hadn't slept. Couldn't. The guardianship petition lay spread across my small kitchen table like evidence at a crime scene, which I supposed it was. Each page revealed more details of their plan. They'd collected statements from suppliers claiming I'd placed incorrect orders, notes from staff about erratic behavior during busy shifts, even medical records somehow obtained from my doctor's office. I thought back over the past year, the times Megan had insisted on driving me to appointments, the concerned looks when I'd forget minor details, the gentle suggestions that I take it easy and let her handle more of the business. Not concern, calculation. The worst part wasn't the betrayal itself. It was the realization that it had been happening right in front of me, day after day. While I'd trusted her completely, while I'd believed her love was as genuine as mine. I made coffee, strong and black, stood at my kitchen window watching the street below come to life. Delivery trucks, early commuters, normal people starting normal days. My world had shattered overnight, but Boston kept moving, indifferent to my pain. My phone buzzed, a text from Megan. "Morning, Dad. Don't forget we have the supplier meeting at 2. Love you." I stared at those last 2 words. Love you. The casual lie of it made my stomach turn. I typed back, "I remember. See you then." No endearment, no emotion, just facts. The coffee burned going down. Good. I needed the sharp sensation to focus my thoughts. 65 years of living teaches you something about people, about patterns. I'd seen staff steal before. Watched competitors try to undermine my business, weathered economic downturns and changing food trends. But this was different. This was my daughter planning to take everything while smiling to my face. I looked at my reflection in the window glass. Gray hair, lines around my eyes, the slight stoop that came from decades over a hot stove. Did I look feeble to her? Diminished? Was that what made her think she could get away with this? The man looking back at me didn't feel diminished. He felt dangerous. My chef's mind had been working all night, analyzing, calculating, building solutions the way I'd once crafted complex menus and kitchen operations. I pulled out a fresh notebook, began writing lists. Assets, vulnerabilities, timeline. The restaurant, my restaurant, valued at $850,000. Megan and Tyler had lived in the upstairs apartment rent-free for 3 years. I did the math automatically. $2,500 monthly market rent times 36 months equals $90,000 they owed me. But they weren't planning to pay. They were planning to take everything. The safe in my bedroom held the real ammunition. I worked the combination, Amanda's birthday still after 4 years of her being gone, and pulled out the documents. Deed to the property in my name only. Bank statements. Will. Everything Megan and Tyler had probably already copied during their 3 years of unrestricted access. They'd had time to prepare. That much was obvious. I spread it all out, cross-referencing the guardianship petition. They had medical records somehow obtained from Dr. Murray. Probably witness statements ready. Legal documents prepared in advance. This wasn't impulsive. This was calculated, methodical, almost professional. My culinary training kicked in properly then. Every dish has a recipe. Every problem has a solution. If they wanted the restaurant, I'd remove the restaurant from the equation. Simple. Sell it before the guardianship hearing could happen. I pulled out my laptop, searched Massachusetts guardianship proceedings timeline, 2 to 3 weeks after filing, typically. They'd mentioned Thanksgiving as their target date. That gave me 6 days maximum, maybe less if they'd already filed, and I just hadn't been served yet. 3 years, I muttered to the empty room. 3 years I gave them a home, and this is how they repay me. I paused, staring at the petition. Fine. They want to play legal games. I'd cooked in high-pressure kitchens for 40 years. I know about timing and execution. At 8 out, I made my first call. A lawyer I knew through the Restaurant Association, Elizabeth Watts. The woman who answered sounded concerned but professional. I requested an emergency appointment to verify property ownership and review my selling options. She had an opening at 10:30. I photographed every page of the guardianship petition with my phone, uploaded them to the secure cloud storage Amanda had set up years ago. Then I crumpled the original exactly as I'd found it and returned it to the recycling bin. They couldn't know I'd discovered their plan. That was critical. On my notepad, I created a timeline. Today, November 21st to Thanksgiving. November 27th, 6 days. I subtracted 1 for safety margin. 5 days to sell a restaurant. Insane. Probably impossible. But I'd done impossible before. Massachusetts property law loaded on my screen. I scanned through the sections, legal language I'd learned to parse from decades of business ownership. There, Clause 41.7. Property owner retains full rights to sell until court officially declares incompetence. The guardianship petition wasn't a court order. It was just a petition. I was still in control, legally. Megan and Tyler emerged from their apartment at 9:00. I'd made coffee, positioned myself at the kitchen counter with the Boston Globe spread before me, the picture of routine. Dad, you okay? You look tired. I glanced up at Megan, let my face show appropriate fatigue. Busy week before the holiday. Nothing serious. You two have plans today? Tyler watched me with narrowed eyes. You sure you're all right? You seem different. I manufactured a flat smile. Just thinking about Thanksgiving. Big family dinner. Should be memorable. They left for the farmer's market at 9:30. Tyler's BMW rumbling down the street. I watched through the window until they turned the corner. Then I grabbed my documents and headed downtown. Elizabeth's office occupied the 10th floor of a sleek building overlooking Boston Harbor. She met me in a conference room, professional in a charcoal suit. She reviewed my deed with careful attention. "Mr. Barker, this deed shows you as sole owner. You have complete right to sell, but such a quick timeline." She looked up at me. "May I ask why the urgency?" I chose my words carefully. "Let's say I've learned my living situation is about to change. I prefer to control that change." Her expression shifted, concern breaking through the professional mask. "If someone is pressuring you, no one is pressuring me." My voice came out firmer than intended. "I'm making a choice. Can you recommend a business broker who works fast and keeps quiet?" She studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly, pulled a business card from her desk drawer. "Kevin Watts, my husband, best restaurant broker in Boston for quick, discreet sales. Tell him I sent you." Back in my car, I sat in the parking garage, phone in hand. 5 days. I dialed the number. 1 ring, 2 rings. "Watts Restaurant Brokerage. This is Kevin." I took a breath. "Mr. Watts, I need to sell my restaurant, and I need it done before Thanksgiving." A pause. "That's 6 days away." My voice was still. "I'm aware." "Can you do it or not? I can have 3 serious buyers by tomorrow if the price is right." "Tomorrow?" The word tasted like possibility. I sat in the parking garage, staring at the business card he'd given me. The dashboard clock showed 3:40. Megan and Tyler would not be back for at least another hour. Time enough. Kevin's colleague, Lauren Foster, met me at the restaurant at 4:30. Professional photographer, business evaluator. She worked quickly, efficiently. Took photos, reviewed my books, studied the equipment, the property. "Mr. Barker, this place is a gold mine. Prime location, established reputation. Profitable for 15 years straight. We can list at $925,000. With your timeline, we might need to accept $850,000. But you'll have serious buyers immediately." I nodded. "Do it." "But absolute confidentiality is non-negotiable." "Of course. I'll have the listing ready tonight. Private circulation only. No public posting." I called Elizabeth from my car afterward, put her on speaker. "Elizabeth, the broker thinks we can close by Wednesday." "Before Thanksgiving?" Her voice filled the small space. "That's incredibly fast." "That's the point. Can you handle the legal side?" "I'll clear my schedule. But Dustin, what about your daughter? She manages the place, correct? Does she know?" "The deed has one name on it. Mine. She knows nothing." After the call, Elizabeth emailed me a folder. "Everything you need. Sale authorization, new account numbers, my direct line. Keep this hidden." I took it, felt its weight. Not just data. Power. My power. For 3 years, I'd been the confused old chef in their story. Now I was rewriting the ending. My next stop was a bank I'd never used before, Citizens. 3 neighborhoods over, not my usual Eastern bank, where Megan probably had contacts. The manager set up a new checking account, arranged for wire transfer of sale proceeds. I made sure Megan's name appeared nowhere. When I pulled into the restaurant lot at 5:15, everything looked normal. I parked in my usual spot, entered through the service entrance, called out, "I'm back," the way I always did. Megan appeared from the dining room. "Dad, where were you this afternoon?" I tried calling. I'd rehearsed this. Phone died. I was at the library, then drove around, thinking about the Thanksgiving menu. "You still want to do turkey here?" Her shoulders relaxed. Of course, I've invited the Lewises, the Griffins, maybe 12 people total. You don't mind, right? This place loves a crowd. Mom always said that. I paused, let the memories sit between us. Let's make it a real celebration. She smiled, came over, and hugged me. It will be, Dad. It really will be. I saw the lie in her eyes, said nothing. That night, I lay in bed, hearing their muffled voices through the wall, planning, always planning. My phone vibrated. Text from Kevin Watts. 3 serious buyers want a tour tomorrow. First at 8:30 a.m. I typed back, I'll be ready. Deleted the message. Deleted the entire text thread. Stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow the restaurant would have buyers. Tomorrow their whole plan crumbled, but they couldn't know. Not yet. Footsteps in the hallway. Megan walking past my door, probably checking if my light was off. I closed my eyes, breathed steadily. The footsteps paused outside my room. Then continued. My eyes opened in the darkness. The alarm didn't wake me. I'd never slept. Every hour I'd checked my phone. Nothing from Kevin, nothing from Elizabeth, nothing to indicate problems. At 7:00, the shower started running in Megan's bathroom. Normal morning routine. Tyler's voice, muffled through the wall. Everything ordinary, except today strangers would walk through this restaurant, evaluating what Megan thought she'd inherit. I dressed carefully. Chef's pants, casual button-down, not too formal, not suspicious, just a chef with morning prep. I needed to be done before they came down. In the kitchen, I prepped breakfast. Eggs Benedict, my specialty, Tyler's favorite. Megan came down at 7:30, already scrolling through her phone. Morning, sweetheart. Big plans today? She barely glanced up. Inventory until noon. Then meeting suppliers for Thanksgiving. I have errands in town, maybe lunch with James from the Restaurant Association. She wasn't listening. At 8:15, I texted Kevin to meet me at the coffee shop across the street. By 8:30, I was handing him my keys, reviewing the showing schedule, signing listing agreements. First buyer is a restaurant group, deep pockets. Second is a chef from New York looking to expand. Third is a local investor, all pre-qualified. Good, keep it quiet. Always do. By noon, I sat in Elizabeth's office signing the first draft of sale documents. By 3:00, I had 2 offers in hand. By 5:00, I was accepting the restaurant group's all-cash offer. $875,000, close date November 26th, day before Thanksgiving. Wire transfer to my new Citizens account. Elizabeth looked at me across her desk. You're sure about this timing? Completely sure. Each signature felt like a strike against Megan's plan. At Citizens, the manager processed my wire transfer details, helped me open a safe deposit box. I moved my emergency cash from the old box at Eastern Bank. Also deposited something I'd created last night, a fake will. Typed on my old typewriter, coffee-stained paper, deliberately shaky signature I'd practiced until it looked authentic. I leave my entire business and all assets to my beloved daughter, Megan. Dated 2 years ago, placed prominently in my office safe where she'd find it. Let her think she'd already won. This is quite a large wire transfer, the manager said. $875,000. Are you sure you want it all in checking? We have investment options. Checking. I need immediate access. I met his eyes. And I need this account completely separate from my previous accounts. New statements to a P.O. box, not my home address. He nodded slowly. Didn't ask why. When the buyers toured the restaurant at 7:01 that evening, I made sure to schedule an emergency supplier meeting. When I returned at 9:00, Megan was in my office, going through my desk drawers. She jumped when she heard me. "Oh, Dad! I didn't hear you come in. I was just..." She gestured vaguely at the desk. These invoices need signatures, and I thought you kept your stamp here. I saw papers move slightly. Filing cabinet drawer? Stamp? No, honey. I keep that in the kitchen office. Always have. Don't you remember? Right, of course. Too quickly. Just forgot. I'll check there. I watched her closely. Were you looking for something else? You seem nervous. Fake laugh. No. Just busy. So much to plan. Hey, are you okay with 15 guests now? Maybe more? However many you want, sweetheart. I kept my voice gentle. This is your celebration too. She left quickly. I heard her in the kitchen rattling drawers for appearance. Tuesday brought the final inspections. Wednesday, the closing. By Wednesday evening, the documents were signed, notarized, dated November 26th. The restaurant would transfer ownership at midnight. The wire would hit my account Thursday morning. Now came the hardest part, walking away. I returned to my apartment above the restaurant for what would be my last night there. The small space felt different now, temporary, already detached from me. I packed methodically, one suitcase only. Clothes, toiletries, important documents. The essentials of a life reduced to what could fit in the trunk of my car. In the kitchen, I made tea and sat at the table where I'd eaten thousands of meals, where Amanda and I had planned menus, discussed finances, dreamed about our future, where Megan had done homework as a child, her small face scrunched in concentration. The memories felt like they belonged to someone else now, a different man from a different time. I opened my laptop, checked my new email account. Message from Elizabeth. All documents processed. Transfer scheduled for 12:01 a.m. Wire transfer will process when banks open Thursday morning. Are you certain about this course of action? I typed back, completely certain. Thank you for everything. Next, I drafted a letter. Not for Megan, that would come later, but for myself. A record of this moment. This decision. I wrote about the restaurant, about Amanda, about the years of hard work, about discovering Megan's betrayal and the cold clarity that followed. I wrote about choices and consequences. When finished, I printed it, signed and dated it, then scanned it back into my secure cloud storage. Evidence of my state of mind. Proof that I knew exactly what I was doing. 5 days until Thanksgiving had become one night. One night until freedom. I slept surprisingly well. The decision was made, the path clear. No more uncertainty, no more pretending. Just the execution of a plan, precise as any recipe I'd ever created. Morning came with pale November light, filtering through the blinds. I showered, dressed in comfortable clothes, made coffee one last time in this kitchen. Checked my watch. 5:30 a.m. Still early. Still quiet. I opened my safe one final time, removed the last few items. My father's watch, Amanda's wedding ring, the original deed to the restaurant, everything else, financial records, business documents, personal papers, had already been secured in my new safe deposit box or uploaded to encrypted storage. The fake will remained, prominently placed where Megan would find it during her inevitable search. Let her think she'd won, right until the moment she realized she'd lost everything. I sat at my desk, opened a fresh envelope, wrote, "Megan, read this," in clear black letters on the front. Inside, I placed a note I'd composed carefully. You wanted ownership documents? Here's the only one that matters. Purchase agreement, November 26th. The restaurant is no longer mine, which means it's not yours either. I hope your Thanksgiving plans work out exactly as you designed them. The father you wanted to declare insane. I attached a copy of the sale contract, photographed everything with my phone before sealing the envelope. Insurance, evidence, proof. The restaurant below was silent. No staff yet, no morning prep. Just the quiet hum of refrigerators and the occasional creak of the old building. I walked through each room one last time. The dining area where customers had celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, ordinary Tuesdays. The kitchen where I'd spent most of my waking hours for 15 years. The bar where Amanda used to sit at closing time, waiting to drive us home. I touched the walls, the counters, the equipment. Not with sadness, but with finality. This chapter was ending. By my choice, not theirs. I checked my watch. 5:47 a.m. Thanksgiving morning. Megan and Tyler wouldn't wake for another hour. Plenty of time. The single suitcase felt lighter than expected as I carried it downstairs. I paused at the bottom, listening to the building settle around me. Every creak familiar. 20 years of memories in these walls. My office waited in darkness. I opened the desk drawer, the one Megan had searched twice this week, and placed the envelope inside. Then I took one last look around. The framed photo of Amanda on opening day. The awards and reviews on the wall. The view of Boston through the window. I'd built this place from nothing. Now I was walking away from it by choice. There was power in that distinction. At 6:15, I carried my suitcase to my car, started the engine, let it warm, looked back at the restaurant one final time. Dark windows, silent walls. The bistro sign I'd hung myself 15 years ago. I backed out of the parking lot, didn't look in the rearview mirror. Boston was still sleeping when I reached downtown. The Marriott desk clerk looked surprised to see anyone checking in at 7 on Thanksgiving morning. "That's unusual," she said, cheerful despite the early hour. "Family gathering later," I managed a slight smile. "Something like that, though I won't be attending, which is exactly the point." She looked confused, but maintained her professionalism. "Well, enjoy your stay, Mr. Barker. How long will you be with us?" "As long as it takes." I paid for 3 nights up front. In my room, I unpacked methodically, hung shirts in the closet, arranged toiletries in the bathroom, set up my laptop on the desk, made the anonymous hotel room mine, at least temporarily. At 9 I called Elizabeth Watts. "It's done. I'm out. The note's in the desk. She'll find it when guests start arriving." "Dustin, are you safe? Do you need anything?" "I'm fine. Better than fine." I looked out at the Boston skyline. For the first time in 3 years, I'm in control of my own life. I ordered breakfast from room service. Eggs, toast, coffee. Simple food that tasted better than anything I'd eaten in months. Freedom has its own flavor. The hours passed slowly. I watched the Macy's parade on TV, read news on my tablet, checked my bank account. No wire yet. Banks closed for the holiday. Tomorrow, then. At noon, I turned off my phone. Didn't want to see messages or missed calls. Not yet. This moment was mine. This quiet Thanksgiving in a hotel room overlooking the city. Peace after years of unknowing warfare. But curiosity is a powerful force. At 2 I turned the phone back on. 3 missed calls from Megan, 2 from Tyler, 5 text messages, increasingly frantic. "Dad, where are you?" "Everyone's arriving soon." "Are you okay? Please call me." "Dad, this isn't funny. Call me now." "We're getting worried. If you don't call in 10 minutes, I'm calling the police." I smiled at that last one. The police. What would she tell them? That her father was missing, right when she planned to have him declared incompetent? That would be an interesting conversation. At 2:13, the phone lit up. Megan Mobile. I let it ring 4 times before answering. "Dad, where are you?" "Everyone's here. The Griffins just arrived. Everyone's asking about you." "I'm exactly where I need to be, Megan." Away from you. Her voice rose, panic creeping in. What? Dad. This isn't funny. You promised you'd cook. We have everything prepped. I cut her off. Check my office desk drawer, top right. There's an envelope with your name on it. Read it. Then you'll understand exactly where things stand. Desk drawer? What are you? Background noise. Tyler asking questions. Guests murmuring. I held the phone away from my ear, listening to her footsteps. The background noise changing. Footsteps on hardwood. My office. Dad, there's something here with my name. What is this? Her voice uncertain now, the false sweetness cracking. I closed my eyes. Open it, Megan. Read every word. Silence. The sound of paper tearing. Then nothing. 5 seconds. 10. At 15 seconds, I heard her breath catch. At 20, a sound that might have been a gasp or a sob. No, this can't. Then louder, sharper. Tyler! Tyler, get in here now! I pulled the phone from my ear. Even at a distance, I heard her screaming. November 26th? He sold it? November 26th? While we were… Her words dissolved into incoherent sounds. I brought the phone back, spoke calmly, into the chaos. Megan, I can hear guests in the background. You might want to have this conversation privately. Her breathing ragged, desperate. You can't do this. You can't just… Then, Tyler's voice, sharp. Give me the phone, Megan. Give me… Fumbling sounds. Tyler came on the line, aggressive, almost a shout. Dustin, what the hell did you do? Megan's talking about some sale. This is insane. I set the phone on speaker, positioned my iPad nearby, started recording, capturing everything. What I did was protect my assets from thieves. The restaurant sold yesterday. Closed escrow. Money's in my account. It's over. Over? You think you can just… I can. I did. And Tyler, I'm recording this conversation, so choose your next words carefully. A pause, then barely controlled rage. You were manipulated. Someone took advantage of you. We can prove you weren't in your right mind. I almost laughed. Bitter sound. Really? Because I have psychiatric evaluations from 3 separate doctors confirming perfect cognitive function. Dated last week. How many doctors do you have saying otherwise? Oh, right. 1. Who never actually examined me. Dr. Murray, wasn't it? Where are you right now? We need to handle this face-to-face. Face-to-face? You mean like the man who planned to have me declared insane? Or like the man who forged medical documents? I'll pass on that conversation. His voice dropped, threatening. You're making enemies, old man. Dangerous enemies. I already had enemies. I just didn't know they lived in my restaurant. I ended the call, stopped the recording, saved it to cloud storage, encrypted folder. Then blocked both their numbers, but not before screenshotting contact info, call logs, previous texts, evidence trail for Elizabeth. I poured water from the minibar, hands steady. Sat by the window overlooking Boston. Watched Thanksgiving afternoon traffic. Processed what had just happened. No regret. Only grim satisfaction. I texted Elizabeth. They know. Reaction as predicted. Megan hysterical. Tyler threatening. Recorded everything. What's next? Her response came fast. Stay where you are. Don't engage further. I'll handle any legal moves they make. The rest of Thanksgiving passed in strange tranquility. I ordered dinner from room service, turkey, stuffing, all the traditional fixings, ate at the desk while watching the sunset over Boston. The city lights came on one by one, creating a glittering landscape below. Friday morning, I woke to an email notification. The wire transfer had cleared. $875,000 now sat in my new account. I stared at the number on my screen, feeling nothing at first. Then a wave of relief so powerful it made me sit down on the edge of the bed. It was real. It was done. I was free. Elizabeth called at 9:30. "Dustin, they've been trying to reach me since last night. Left 12 messages. I returned their call this morning." "And?" "Tyler claims the sale is invalid. Says you were coerced, manipulated, not of sound mind. I informed him we have documentation proving otherwise, including your recent medical evaluations." "How did he take it?" "Not well. He mentioned legal action, emergency hearings, elder abuse claims against me and Kevin. I reminded him that falsifying medical documents is a felony in Massachusetts. That quieted him down." "And Megan?" A pause. "She was crying in the background, kept saying you'd ruined everything, that you'd never understand what they were trying to do for you." I closed my eyes. "For me? Right. They're moving faster than I expected. Already contacted a lawyer. We need to be prepared." "I am prepared. Have been for days." After the call, I showered, dressed, and headed out. Not to hide, to live. I walked through Boston Common, had coffee at a cafe I'd always wanted to try but never had time for. Browsed in a bookstore. Simple pleasures that felt revolutionary after years of 6-day work weeks. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Tyler, using someone else's phone. This isn't over. You've destroyed your daughter's life. Hope you're proud of yourself." I blocked the number without responding. Then another. "Dad, please. We can talk about this. I can explain everything." Megan, this time. I blocked that number too. By evening, I'd received 6 messages from 6 different numbers. I blocked them all, forwarded the texts to Elizabeth first. Evidence mounting. Saturday brought the first legal notice. Email from Elizabeth. "They've filed an emergency petition claiming elder exploitation. Hearing set for Tuesday. Don't worry. We have everything we need to shut this down." I wasn't worried. I was prepared. Sunday, I checked out of the Marriott. Drove to Providence. The small cafe I'd purchased 2 weeks earlier, another secret transaction, waited for me. 1-bedroom apartment upstairs, cozy space, fresh start. The previous owner had left it spotless. I unpacked my single suitcase, hung my clothes in the closet, arranged my few possessions on shelves and counters, made the bed with new sheets, stocked the refrigerator with groceries. Monday morning, I woke before dawn, old habit. Made coffee, sat at the kitchen table with my laptop, reviewed emails from Elizabeth. She'd prepared a comprehensive defense against their claims. Medical evaluations, financial records, timeline of events, recordings of their threats. "We're ready," she wrote. "Court appearance tomorrow at 9 a.m. They won't know what hit them." I replied, "I'll be there." Then I walked downstairs to my new cafe. Turned on the lights, examined the kitchen equipment, the dining area, the small bar. Not as grand as Barker's Bistro, but mine. Completely mine. I tied on an apron, began prep work for a practice run. Muscle memory took over. Chopping, mixing, tasting. The familiar rhythm of a kitchen, the dance I'd performed for 40 years. For the first time in months, I smiled. Really smiled. 3 months later, Megan's attempts at legal action had failed completely. The psychiatric evaluations I'd obtained preemptively had demolished any claims of incompetence. The recorded conversations proved their plot. The sale stood. Tyler left her when their plan collapsed. Megan was working as a line cook at a chain restaurant now. I'd heard through mutual friends in the industry. Her apartment above the restaurant, gone. Her reputation in Boston's culinary circles, damaged beyond repair. The new owners had renovated completely, even changed the name. Barker's Bistro existed only in memory now. My new cafe in Providence was thriving, small, efficient, profitable. Just me and 2 trusted employees. No family, no betrayers. I'd named it Fresh Start, both a statement and a promise to myself. The work was good. Simpler menu, shorter hours, less pressure. I closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, took actual weekends, read books, walked by the water, slept without listening for footsteps in the hallway. Last week, an envelope arrived, Megan's handwriting. Inside, a tear-stained letter begging forgiveness, claiming Tyler had manipulated her, asking for help, for money, for another chance. I fed it through the shredder without reading beyond the first paragraph. You stopped being my daughter when you called me the old man and plotted to cage me. The cafe kitchen gleamed in morning light. I moved through it with practiced ease, preparing for the day. Fresh bread rising, soup stock simmering, vegetables washed and ready for chopping. The rhythm of a well-run kitchen, the satisfaction of creation. At 10:30, Elizabeth called, our monthly check-in. How are you, Dustin? Good, busy. The cafe's doing well. And personally? I considered the question. I'm at peace. Not happy, exactly, but at peace. That's something. Any more contact from Megan? Another letter last week, same as before. Didn't read it. You never will you? Some betrayals can't be undone, Elizabeth. Some wounds don't heal. After we hung up, I stood at the cafe window, watching Providence wake up. Different city. Different life. The person I'd been 3 months ago felt like a stranger now. That anxious, angry man standing in a restaurant kitchen, listening to his daughter plot against him. I'd left that man behind in Boston, along with the rage and hurt. What remained was clarity. The clear-eyed understanding that some people will take everything if you let them. That kindness can be mistaken for weakness. That sometimes the only way forward is to walk away. The bell above the door chimed. First customer of the day. I turned, smiled, greeted them warmly. Welcome to Fresh Start. What can I get for you today? My new cafe opens next week. Small, efficient, profitable. Just like my new life. Carefully built, precisely controlled, completely mine. Betrayal taught me the final lesson of my culinary career. When the meal is spoiled, you don't salvage it. You start fresh with clean ingredients, and you never ever invite saboteurs back into your kitchen. The Tuesday court hearing arrived with gray skies and freezing rain. I drove from Providence to Boston early, allowing extra time for weather and traffic. The courthouse loomed ahead, all stone and authority. I straightened my tie, checked my reflection in the rearview mirror. Calm eyes looked back at me. No fear, no doubt. Elizabeth met me on the courthouse steps, briefcase in hand, professional in a navy suit. Ready? More than ready. Inside, we found our assigned courtroom. Elizabeth arranged documents on the table, reviewed notes, whispered instructions. Let me do the talking. Answer only direct questions. Keep responses brief and factual. At 8:55 they entered. Megan first, pale and thin, dark circles under her eyes. Then Tyler, jaw tight, eyes darting. Their lawyer between them, an older man with an expensive suit and confident stride. Megan saw me, stopped walking. Her mouth opened slightly, closed again. I met her gaze steadily, expression neutral. She looked away first. The judge entered at 9:05. Honorable Patricia Winters, according to the nameplate. Silver-haired, sharp-eyed, no-nonsense demeanor. She reviewed the case file, looked up at both parties. This is an emergency petition alleging elder exploitation in the sale of a business property. Petitioners claim the respondent, Mr. Dustin Barker, was not of sound mind when he sold his restaurant. Respondent claims the sale was legitimate and that petitioners were themselves attempting to gain control of his assets through fraudulent means. Correct? Both lawyers confirmed. Very well. Petitioner's counsel, you may begin. Their lawyer stood, straightened his jacket. Your Honor, my clients are deeply concerned about Mr. Barker's well-being. For months, they observed declining cognitive function, erratic behavior, memory lapses. As loving family members, they sought medical evaluation, considering guardianship only as a last resort to protect both Mr. Barker and the family business, he continued, painting Megan and Tyler as concerned caregivers, me as a confused old man easily manipulated by unscrupulous lawyers and brokers. The hasty sale of a 15-year family business without consulting his daughter who managed daily operations demonstrates impaired judgment. We ask the court to invalidate this sale and order a proper competency evaluation. The judge listened, face impassive. Thank you, counsel. Ms. Watts? Elizabeth rose, calm and prepared. Your Honor, the facts tell a very different story. Mr. Barker discovered his daughter and son-in-law plotting to have him declared incompetent based on fabricated evidence. We have the original guardianship petition they prepared, with false claims of mental decline. She placed documents on the judge's bench. Mr. Barker obtained independent psychiatric evaluations from 3 separate doctors, all confirming his complete mental competence. He then exercised his legal right to sell his property before the fraudulent guardianship hearing could occur. Elizabeth presented the medical evaluations, the property deed, the sale documents. Furthermore, we have recorded conversations where the petitioners made threats after learning of the sale, admitting their plan to take control of Mr. Barker's assets. She played the recording from Thanksgiving Day. Tyler's voice filled the courtroom. You were manipulated. Someone took advantage of you. We can prove you weren't in your right mind. Then my response, really? Because I have psychiatric evaluations from 3 separate doctors confirming perfect cognitive function. Dated last week. How many doctors do you have saying otherwise? Oh, right. 1. Who never actually examined me. Dr. Murray, wasn't it? Megan flinched at the recording. Tyler stared straight ahead, jaw muscles working. The judge reviewed our evidence carefully. Mr. Barker, would you please approach the bench? I stood, walked forward. The judge studied me closely. Sir, I'd like to hear directly from you. Why did you sell your restaurant so quickly and without informing your daughter? I met her gaze. Your Honor, when you discover someone planning to declare you mentally incompetent to steal your life's work, you act decisively. I built that restaurant from nothing. I owned it outright. The deed had one name, mine. I chose to sell it rather than fight a protracted legal battle against my own daughter. And how did you discover their plans? I overheard them discussing it. Then found the guardianship petition they'd prepared, with false claims about my mental state. That must have been difficult. Finding out your child sees you as an obstacle rather than a father? Yes, Your Honor, it was. The judge nodded, dismissed me back to my seat. She questioned Megan next. Ms. Barker, did you prepare a guardianship petition for your father? Megan's voice trembled. Yes, but only because we were worried about him. He was forgetting things, making mistakes with orders, getting confused about schedules. Did Dr. Murray personally examine your father before signing the medical assessment? Megan hesitated. Not recently. Did Dr. Murray examine him at all in relation to this petition? Longer pause. No. So the medical assessment was based on what, exactly? Our observations and Dad's regular checkups from years ago. The judge's expression hardened. You obtained confidential medical records without consent and used them to create a false assessment? Megan looked down. Tyler handled that part. Tyler's head snapped toward her, betrayal in his eyes. The judge questioned them for 20 more minutes, methodically exposing contradictions, falsehoods, admissions. By the end, Megan was crying silently. Tyler sat rigid, staring at nothing. Judge Winters removed her glasses, addressed the courtroom. I've heard enough. This petition is denied. The sale of Barker's Bistro stands as legitimate and binding. Furthermore, I'm referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for potential charges of attempted fraud and falsification of medical documents. She looked directly at Megan and Tyler. The court takes a very dim view of children attempting to strip elderly parents of their autonomy for financial gain. You should both be ashamed. With a bang of her gavel, it was over. In the hallway afterward, Megan tried to approach me. Dad, please. Elizabeth stepped between us. My client has nothing to say to you. I walked past without looking back. Outside the courthouse, rain fell steadily. I stood under the overhang, watching droplets hit the pavement, feeling lighter than I had in years. Elizabeth joined me, umbrella in hand. That went exactly as expected, she said. Judge Winters has a reputation for protecting elderly rights. She saw through their claims immediately. What happens now, with the DA referral? They'll investigate. Falsifying medical documents is serious. Tyler could face charges. Megan, too, as an accomplice. But that's not your concern anymore. I nodded. You're right. It's not. What will you do now, Dustin? I looked out at the rain-washed city. Go back to Providence. Run my cafe. Live my life. And Megan? She made her choice. Now she lives with it. The drive back to Providence felt like crossing a boundary. Boston behind me, new life ahead. The cafe waited, small and welcoming. I unlocked the door, breathed in the familiar sense of coffee and fresh bread. Home now. My home. The next morning, I opened as usual. Regulars came in, ordered their usual items, asked about my day off yesterday. I told them I had business in Boston. Nothing more. At noon, during a lull, I checked my email. Message from Elizabeth. DA's office is proceeding with investigation. Tyler already trying to cut a deal, blaming everything on Megan. Thought you should know. I closed the email without responding. Their drama, their consequences, not my problem anymore. Weeks passed. The cafe thrived. I hired a third employee, expanded the menu, extended weekend hours. Found a rhythm that worked, a balance between work and rest that had eluded me for decades. Spring arrived, bringing warmer days and new customers. I planted herbs in window boxes, added seasonal specials, started a small catering service for local businesses. The work was satisfying, the pace manageable. One Tuesday in April, my day off, I drove to the coast. Sat on a bench overlooking the Atlantic, watching waves roll in. The endless cycle of water meeting shore, retreating, returning. Nature's rhythm, constant and changing simultaneously. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Dad, it's Megan. Please don't block this number. I just want to talk. I stared at the message for a long moment. Thought about responding. Decided against it. Some bridges stay burned. Instead, I called James. an old friend from the restaurant association. "How's retirement treating you?" "Can't complain. How's that cafe of yours?" "Good. Thinking of opening a second location." "Already? It's only been, what, 6 months?" "5. But I've got the capital and the energy. Why wait?" We talked for an hour, about business, food trends, mutual friends, normal conversation, healing conversation. That evening, back at my apartment above the cafe, I sat at the kitchen table with a notepad. Drew plans for the second location. Larger space, expanded menu, maybe a small bar. Room to grow, but not too much. Manageable. Controlled. The next morning, I called a real estate agent. By afternoon, I was touring potential spaces. By the following week, I'd signed a lease on a corner property 3 blocks from the original cafe. Good foot traffic, large windows, character. I named it Second Chapter. The grand opening came 2 months later. Small ceremony, local press, loyal customers from the first cafe. I cut a ribbon, shook hands, served complimentary pastries and coffee. Felt pride without arrogance. Satisfaction without complacency. That night, after both cafes had closed and the staff had gone home, I sat alone in the new space. Lights dimmed, street noise fading outside. Just me and the potential of tomorrow. My phone buzzed. Email from Elizabeth. Case closed. Tyler took a plea deal, 2 years probation, community service. Megan received immunity for testimony. Thought you'd want to know. I typed back, "Thank you. That chapter's finished." And it was. Truly finished. The anger had faded months ago, replaced by something calmer. Not forgiveness. Some actions lie beyond that, but acceptance. They had made their choices. I had made mine. We all lived with the results. I locked up the cafe, walked the 3 blocks to my apartment. Tomorrow would bring new customers, new challenges, new opportunities. I was ready for all of it. 1 year after Thanksgiving, I stood in the kitchen of Second Chapter, watching my staff prepare for the holiday rush. Both cafes would close early, giving everyone time with family. Everyone except me. I'd declined 3 invitations from friends, choosing instead a quiet evening alone. Not from loneliness or bitterness, but from choice. Peace had become precious to me. Solitude a comfort rather than a burden. The morning had brought another letter from Megan. Unlike previous attempts, this one contained no pleas for money or reconciliation. Just a simple update. She'd moved to Chicago, started culinary school again, found work at a respected restaurant, trying to rebuild on her own terms. I read it completely this time, felt nothing but a distant acknowledgement. Like reading about a character in a book whose story had diverged from mine chapters ago. I didn't respond, didn't need to. Our paths had separated permanently that Thanksgiving morning when I chose self-preservation over familiar destruction. At 66, I'd found an unexpected second act. 2 thriving cafes, a small but comfortable apartment, enough money to live well without excess, freedom to work when I wanted, rest when needed, simple pleasures that had once seemed impossible. The betrayal that could have destroyed me had instead forced a reinvention. Not because I was stronger or wiser than others, but because I'd recognized the moment when action became essential, when walking away became the only path forward. That evening, alone in my apartment, I cooked a simple Thanksgiving meal. Turkey breast, stuffing, cranberry sauce. Set the table properly. Lit a candle. Poured a glass of wine. Honored the holiday without the weight of false celebration. As I ate, I thought about the lessons of the past year. How quickly security can become vulnerability. How those closest to us sometimes see only what we possess, not who we are. How freedom often requires difficult choices. But mostly, I thought about tomorrow. The new breakfast special I wanted to try. The potential third location I'd been considering. The cooking class I'd agreed to teach at the community center. Life continues. Not always as we expect or plan, but it continues. And sometimes, the unexpected path leads to places we never knew we wanted to go. If you're facing betrayal from someone you trusted, remember this: you always have choices. They may be difficult, painful, limited, but they exist. Your life belongs to you, not to those who would take it from you. What would you do if someone tried to steal your life's work? Would you confront them immediately, or plan your response like I did? Let me know in the comments. And if you found value in my story, consider subscribing to hear more real-life experiences that might help you navigate your own challenges. Sometimes, the best lessons come from others' hardest moments. Next, I'll share how I turned a small cafe into a thriving business in less than a year, using lessons learned from 4 decades in the restaurant industry. You won't want to miss it. Remember, when the meal is spoiled, you don't salvage it. You start fresh with clean ingredients.